You murder the unborn and call it health. You burn cities and call it justice. You stomp our flag and call it pride. You slander us in our schools and call it learning. You lie and call it truth. You call cruelty courage. You pretend intimidation is inspiration. You love hate. You kill but are afraid to die. You have cowed our politicians, but we are not our politicians. The police are diminished, but we are not the police. You corrupt the courts, but we are not the courts. We do not want violence. We do not want war, for we know war, and we have seen real violence. You have been spoiled and coddled by those like you, but we are not like you, and we have had enough of you. We will teach you justice, and you are not going to like it. I'm a retired SOCOM soldier, special agent spy, turned whistleblower warrior, served in sabotage, rejected and redeemed, failed and forgiven, betrayed and saved, rejecting revenge, humbled and blessed, repurposed in redemption, as chaplain, leader, teacher, and truth teller. Now, America's intelligence officer, following God, leading my family, and any that choose to join on our long walk to faith and freedom. Welcome. I'm Jeff Prather, and this is the Prather Point. Hey, welcome everybody. Glad to be with you. Don't see anybody. We see a little bit of folks on Rumble so far, and maybe on X there as well. But lots of important stuff to talk about today. Trump defying Iran war will bring more U.S. false flags. That's very significant. I'm going to get into that. I'm also going to cover Epstein truth, global Talmudic PEDO CABAL worshiping Satan. Ukraine war still cover for child trafficking. Is Trump defying Israel with Iran talks on Friday? And by the way, the START treaty with Russia against proliferation with nuclear arms, something I actually wrote in my master's work of international relations, ends today. And is Trump's Xi call to prevent China war? And then my guest today is Tina Blanco of sat123.com to help us with some answers, options, and solutions if we are going to face more false flags. So is Trump back? Under Trump, the Epstein files have come out. We got to remember that. Trump seems to be defying Israel with more peace talks with Iran. And that means he's defying Mossad as well. And of course, the START treaty, he must be concerned about that. And he called Xi as well, because Russia and China are aligning with Iran against us. So it appears Trump may be back. I'm very hopeful about that. Again, these actions indicate he may have come back, because I'm always hopeful, because I'm always faith-filled. But with the Epstein latest release, which is coming out under Trump's administration, he didn't hesitate, Epstein, to label everyone non-Jews as goyim, a derogatory term meaning cattle in Hebrew, all those who don't belong to the Ashkenazi circle. According to Epstein, these people were destined to live a life of suffering and hard work in order to ensure the prosperity of the other people, of those who thrived on financial speculation to the detriment of others. These are from Epstein's emails. These are the rules of parasitism, of which Epstein was more than proud, because he was proud of his origins, of his religion, which he studied very carefully, as demonstrated by the display of various volumes of the Talmud in his home on the shelf behind him. The Mossad man is therefore evidently not something that emerged from nowhere, as a certain media narrative would have us believe, but the product of a system that conceives and gives birth to the figures needed to carry out certain operations. Epstein was on a first-name basis with real power. He frequently wrote to the most important family in this circle, the Rothschilds of Frankfurt, who for more than 2 centuries thanks to the connections and speculations of their founder, Meyer Amschel, became the piggy bank of Europe and the world, the custodians of infinite wealth, whose true proportions were kept secret for a long time on Mayer's explicit orders. Epstein was their privileged agent. He writes in his emails, and the evidence is extensive in his correspondence with Ariana de Rothschild, a member of the French branch of the family, with whom he discussed as early as 2014 the great opportunities presented to them following the Euromaidan coup in Ukraine, which handed power to a cabal of Nazis, the Azov Nazis, and oligarchs of Ashkenazi origin who plundered the country like never before. These emails reveal a subversion of globalism, as does an exchange Epstein had with Boris Nikolic, Bill Gates, Croatian immunologist and a member of the Davos Forum, regarding the need to travel to Moscow quickly and work to help the defector Ilya Ponomarov overthrow Vladimir Putin, the nemesis of these powers, who never appreciated Russia being freed from the control of various Ashkenazi oligarchs and gradually restored to its full grandeur the influence on the world stage. This is what is revealed in all of these emails. Putin is certainly one of those men who knows who the elites that wield power really are. And he didn't hesitate to explicitly call them Satanists. And Epstein certainly was. But we never hear anything like that from Trump or from Congress at all. That's why I again say that Putin and Russia are an ally of the American people. Epstein brought his wealthy friends to his little St. James Islands, where children and teenagers from all over the world were not only abused, subject to horrific violence to fragment their minds, thus mentally program the victims along the lines of the infamous Monarch program successor to MK Ultra, which was recently discussed in the wake of the investigation conducted by the late Judge Paolo Ferraro into the satanic circles of the Italian Army Secutulia City Barracks in Rome. Now, some of these allegations, for example, I've reported on them, where the guy's talking about Bush raping him and cutting his legs, but the legs weren't cut, and the African American raping white women, and then the ritual murder of children, dismembered and disemboweled. All of this has happened a long time ago. I did show clips of the inner two little pairs of girls inside the temple, but some of these appear to be unstable people, and you can tell that from the FBI notes. So just because everything is said in there doesn't mean that it is all valid. That's important to understand as well. But this Bonacci, who is in the released files, explained in detail how he had been programmed and abused from early childhood through satanic rituals. Now, this has been shown many, many times to be true. Always through the infamous Monarch program to become a sex slave. Bonacci explained that these programs were run by men like Satanist and Army officer Michael Aquino. That's very true. A student of Salazar Lavey, and Aquino was in PSYOPs, by the way, way before my time. And Aquino was a student of Zanzor Lavey, the infamous occultist of Jewish origins, who directed these operations from the Ofot barracks in Nebraska, which served as an army of mind slaves. There was a lot of special projects going on like that. And I've known some of those guys. They are not particularly capable, I'll tell you. The young witness revealed they had witnessed a satanic ritual performed during these meetings of the infamous Bohemian Grove Club, another high-level satanic circle in which a child was murdered, and after his brutal death, his organs were consumed by the participants, including poor Bonacci, the victim of these bloodthirsty assassinations. He witnessed the dismemberment of a young man whose organs and even feces were consumed by Satanists. Now, that sounds almost too wild to be true, But the infamous occultist Aleister Crowley enthusiastically practiced chorophagy, which is the eating of feces, which of course you see animals do. Dogs do quite a bit, but we do not do or should not as Christians. They still haven't released any of the video footage. Yeah, they're not going to. That's I guess that's Earl Jackson there. Let me see. Yeah, they still haven't released any of the video footage. Not that I would want to watch any of it. No, because it's going to show child porn, which is actually illegal for you to view it, is actually a felony as well, and also murder and strangulation. That's what Todd Blanche, the Assistant United States Attorney, referenced. So the video is there. It's not going to be released. It should be released to prosecute these monsters, but of course, no one is being prosecuted. Now, some of the victims, survivors' names have been outed and were not redacted. But again, most of the global elites' names are still being redacted. Anyway, with the eating of feces, occultists are, and cannibalism, occultists are somehow convinced that this opens channels to the world of spirits. This is scripture: is the life is in the blood. An email sent to Epstein by film producer Barry Josephson discusses the ability of blood to rejuvenate people. This is the chapter on the infamous adrenochrome, which I've talked about quite a bit, and frazzle drip as well. The blood extracted from young victims of satanic abuse to be consumed by various participants, and by torture, it activates the blood. And this is also what you see with the Black Eye Club as well. If you consult any of the main press magazines, they clumsily dismiss the whole thing as blood libel, despite researchers and historians of Jewish origins like Ariel Toloff having explained in their now banned works such as Blood Easter how this practice was deeply rooted in various Jewish communities. The Moldavian rabbi Neil Foto, who converted to Orthodox Christianity, also explained in another banned essay, Christian Blood and the Jewish Rites of Modern Synagogue, which describes the mystical power that blood holds in the eyes of the Talmudists, who jealously guard the secrets of their practices. And of course, that's what the Chabad Lubavitch, I talked about how that Chabad Lubavitch guy came and said, oh yeah, there was blood on the mattresses because we were doing blood ceremonies to try and revive and reincarnate Rabbi Schneerson in some of our dead recent members. He's saying it very commonly. Epstein takes us back in time. The emails are a journey through the time that demonstrates how historical literature of the past, especially traditionalist Catholic literature, contains several inconvenient truths. And this is why the FBI and the government are after the Catholics. Because Catholics have, Catholic Church has a deep, long tradition of scholarship. And Catholic literature contains several inconvenient truths that are now being suppressed by the general public, inundated by a torrent of lies that could be defined as denialist, to use such foolish terms against their own creators. There was and still is a sort of logistical chain within this system. At its pinnacle is the Luciferian religion, which unites every member of this power, and beneath it, as logical consequences, are every perversion and aberration that Satanist philosophy brings with it, such as pedophilia, the contempt for Catholicism, expressed by Epstein himself. It was dangerous, he said, and for the goyim and usury that in modern terms is expressed through financial speculation. And this is also Frankism and Sabbateism, which I've talked about, not Caesarism, which is a myth and unproven, but Frankism and Zevi Sabbatea, who said he was the Messiah, said you had to reach the depth of depravity to be saved. That's where all this really originates as well. At its pinnacle is the Luciferian religion, which unites every member of the power, and beneath is a logical consequence, as every perversion and aberration that the Satanist philosophy brings with it. Obviously, pedophilia, the contempt for Catholicism. Epstein's correspondence recounts the economic murder of Greece at the hands of modern day usurers, represented by the International Monetary Fund, the European Commission, and the European Central bank. A country was put up for auction by a collaborationist political class, and the Greeks, like the Italians, found themselves having to foot the bill for financial exposure of French and German banks, as the American linguist of Jewish origins correctly states. There were certainly presidents like Bill Clinton and the French president Emmanuel Macron, who was the economic minister in the Holland government, was busy closing deals with the convicted pedophile who had escaped prison thanks to the protection of the Obama administration. Macron is another of those carefully crafted globalist elites who use men like Epstein to build figures from scratch. The French president's story has been meticulously crafted since the 1990s, when 14-year-old Macron was abused by Jean-Michel Trojanot, who already assumed the false identity of Brigitte Trojanot. Brigitte is the trainer, so to speak. She is the one who must guide the child into adulthood and program him to become the politician controlled by the elites, who thus swell their arm. And Candace has talked a lot about this. That's why Brigitte is really a man. This is what Michelle did. This is transgenderism at adulthood. Macron, thanks to Brigitte, for Benjamin and Ariana de Rothschild, the powerful bankers who listened to Epstein on the most sensitive issues, including those concerning the composition of this board of directors, which, according to the pedophile, should be composed exclusively of Jews and not African Americans, which is very, very significant. These exchanges, unpublished by the press, reveal a profound racism on the part of certain circles who preach to Europeans to open their countries to doors to immigrants, but when it comes to opening the doors of their inner circles, they are certainly barred. That is the hypocrisy of all this. Ariana listened to Jeffrey, who continued to be held in high esteem even by Macron after he entered the Elysee Palace in 2018. He asked Epstein for advice on how to reinvent the form of government. Perhaps the French president was obsessed with using political marketing to convey his globalist agenda. In the conversation between Ariana de Rothschild and Epstein, there's even a room for a bit of history when the two discussed the Jewish financiers who sheltered Hitler during his Viennese period, when the young Adolf was penniless painter without any art or skill, aided by Jewish financiers whom he didn't detest at all, but rather deeply admired. And this is what you see through Ukraine as well, this inherent racism. And this is inherent racism of Zionists as well. Epstein therefore discussed everything among the massive documents. Even the so-called pandemic is not missing. Bill Gates, the man of pandemics, let him know it in writing to him in 2017 to communicate a scenario simulating a pandemic. Far from seeing this as a health emergency, Epstein saw it as a business opportunity. Epstein also had Italian friends in his cohort. Very close to him is a little-known figure active in the financial world, Tancred Marchiobili, who asked Epstein whether or not he should torture a woman whose identity has not been disclosed. Marchio's name came up frequently, confirming that the financier was deeply involved in the Mossad pedophile world, almost as if he were an indispensable intermediary for the execution of certain details. But this is all still coming out. But again, it's coming out under the Trump administration. Of course, he didn't want it to come out, but it is coming out. So I've got to give him some credit there. But it also demonstrates that Epstein hated Trump and that the president is far removed from that horrendous world as can be. And although there are allegations of Trump in there, I've talked about those before. But among the many emails, Epstein's constant desire to target the feared Trump is evident, even with the help of journalists like Michael Wolff, who wrote to the pedophile of Little St. James, saying there was a war between Jews and non-Jews underway. So that is a summary that if you still think this is just about politics, or you still think this is a lone figure, you don't understand. And you have really got to choose God and choose good and choose life and freedom and choose Christ. That is really the difference, because at the base of all this is a satanically sourced war. And Ukraine is still covering for child trafficking, but I will shift there a little bit because I see my guest is coming in. But if Trump is defying Israel and Mossad, which he seems to be doing because he's going to go ahead with the peace talks on Friday in Oman, nuclear talks with Iran, and Israel clearly wants Trump to hit Iran again, and he's not doing that, which is why, again, I say that all the stuff about Trump was suddenly released to blackmail him, and it's having the opposite effect because Trump is a counterpuncher. Then it looks like Trump may be hopefully becoming his own man again, and it's no longer about Israel first all the time. So that's the first really important point to understand about these Iran talks on Friday. U.S. and Iranian representatives had initially agreed to meet in Turkey. Now they're meeting in Oman. And of course, there's a major heightened U.S. military presence standing by. And there were Israeli generals in the Pentagon on Friday, probably planning that attack. But according to U.S. officials, leaders from at least 9 Arab and Muslim countries contacted Trump at senior levels and urging the administration to proceed with peace talks. One official said that appeals emphasize the importance of hearing Iran's position. So what I'm setting the stage here for is Trump does not want to hit Iran again. He already did. So the blackmail material came out of the Epstein file about Trump, but instead of having the effect of making him kowtow to Israel, it seems to be having the opposite effect. That's also what seems to be happening with Trump, because Trump just did a call to Xi. Now, remember, Russia and China just aligned with Iran, and they flew joint air missions into Japanese airspace, so that we're very close to war like we have never been before. So is Trump's call to Xi to prevent Chinese war? I talked about this on my last show. So Trump said on Wednesday that he spoke with Chinese President Xi Jinping about Iran. A Chinese government official confirmed that call. And they're talking about Taiwan, of course, because they're always talking about Taiwan. But separately, Xi also spoke Wednesday with Russian President Vladimir Putin. So that's very important too, because again, the U.S.-Russia START treaty, which limited nuclear weapons, just ended today. So that means all bets are off. That everybody can go nuclear. Of course, it's kind of hypocrisy that is making Iran stop their program. But that's, of course, because they are committed to hitting Israel. But Xi's conversation with both Trump and Putin come as the new START nuclear arms treaty between the United States and Russia expires today. So that means no more nuclear controls. And a lot of nations are re-examining whether they should become nuclear powers because they don't think America is going to support them. So what does that mean then? That means that if Israel wants Trump to hit Iran again, and it didn't work through the blackmail, then they are likely to cause more false flags on the American homeland. Why? And Trump hasn't done it because it's wildly unpopular. Nobody wants to go to war with Iran. So the Israeli Mossad Zionist element realizes that. So to shift public opinion, if they create false flags on domestic soil, much as how they were involved in 9/11, much as how they set up and stood down for 7 hours on October 7th, that's why the title is Trump defying Iranian war equals more false flags. So that is my intelligence projection. Let's see what's Earl Jackson says, meanwhile, we're still relying on the Minuteman, which was created back in 1970. Yeah, a war with Iran is useless without a regime change. We'd probably lose an aircraft carrier and that would sink. So we're not going to be able to take and hold Iran. It's a very large and ancient country. But what this means is because Trump is defying Israel finally and becoming his own man again, it looks like more U.S. false flags coming. So what does that mean? Well, that could mean, as Ann Vandersteel has said, that Israel could set off some small atomic demolition munitions, SATMs, such as is talked about in my book, Chase, where Arab terrorists smuggle a SATM in. And so if that's the case, or, lots of different scenarios. So I always want to give you options, answers, and solutions to more coming false flags. So I'm predicting more coming false flags. So therefore, I've got my guest today, communications expert and founder of Sat123, the Sat Phone Store, and a sponsor of the show, Tina Blanco, to talk about some of those options, solutions, and answers. So, Tina, thank you for waiting there patiently.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Jeffrey. I've got the flu, but I'm gonna continue today. There's flu going around in San Diego. That's a nasty flu, and everybody's getting it. But yeah, based on what we're hearing, what you just mentioned, we definitely need to be a little bit more prepared, especially with communications, with electricity, with generators, and other products that we, as conservatives, need to be more prepared in event of any kind of emergency. I just want to make sure that you understand that, or the audience understand that satellite phones cannot be hacked. Where we recently saw what happened with Verizon when Verizon went down for a day for many folks in some certain areas. I don't think anybody really came out and said what really happened, but it looks like a hack to me. So where satellite phones are unhackable, Jeffrey, because with satellite phones, you have your own personal antenna with you wherever you go. You just take this phone, you go outside, it connects direct to the satellite, and you can make a call from anywhere to anywhere on Earth. So we are seeing a record amount of people that are purchasing satellite phones right now, especially in government. And then also we're seeing a lot of people who've been relaxed for the past 5 years because Trump was elected or nothing has happened, and they're calling to reactivate their satellite phones. So I do see a lot of concerns from a lot of people, corporations, and individuals as well.
Well, that's why I wanted to have you on now, is because if Trump is becoming his own man, if he's defying Israel and Mossad like that, then the only way, because public opinion is so much against more war, Iran war. He's got serious issues with Russia and China aligning with Iran and the START treaty gone. The next logical thing is for Israel to have some more false flags in America. And when that happens, of course, comms go down. You got to have comms. I've got the Iridium 9555 right here. I've used all kinds of satellite phones and SATCOM in my military and intelligence and DEA time. And this is certainly the best I've ever used. And I like the little attachments, like the ear attachment that stretches, very practical, so that you can move all the different attachments. Again, I've got the banner up there, promo code Prather for 10% off a purchase at BeReady123.com. So that's kind of the mainstay. And people should understand too, you can make regular calls at a much lower rate with a sat phone, right? It's only when you go sat to sat that the rate is higher. Is that correct?
So if you go sat to a different, like let's say you make a call from an Iridium phone to an Inmarsat phone or to a Thuraya phone, which is very rare. We hardly ever see that. That's when the rate is higher. But when you call from an Iridium to Iridium, because the incoming call is free, so you're really only using half of a minute per phone is the way it works. And I just want to point out is that you're right, that phone that you have is the only phone that our military uses because it is the only one without GPC, without any tracking. Calls are encrypted, texts are encrypted, so nobody's ever going to listen in on you. No one's going to know where you're at. So if you just want to disturb your digital footprint and just go on a satellite phone for a day or two so that there's no tracking, you can actually do that. There is no tracking. The military uses it because they don't want the bad guys to find them, to locate them. So the phone that you have is the best satellite phone there is. 66 satellites, covers the whole globe. It doesn't matter where you are on Earth, on a plane, it don't matter. You will be able to make an outgoing call.
And I've used the Thuraya and Inmarsat, and they work, but they don't work nearly as well as the Iridium.
Yeah.
From my personal experience.
So Thuraya, they just have a couple satellites over the Middle East. So they're mostly in Middle East or Africa. Inmarsat has 3 satellites, but they're geostationary. So the further you are from the equator, you're not going to get a reception. Like if you're in Alaska, you'd want to get Iridium. But the Iridium phone covers the whole globe. And the phone that you have, we're not even charging for it. We're giving it away for free. You just got to sign up for an agreement. And the phone is included with the package. And you just sign up. I think it's a 24-month agreement at $95, yep. and you're good to go. Jeffrey, the Inmarsat phone is also free. It is $75 a month, but that phone will work anywhere on Earth except for the poles. So if you go to Alaska and above, you probably need an Iridium phone. And then, of course, the South Pole. But around the globe, because of their satellites are geostationary, you should be able to get reception from anywhere. So if you want something less expensive, the phone is still for free, and it is only a 12-month agreement, then get the Inmarsat if you're not going to travel North Pole or South Pole or to Alaska or in some parts of northern Canada. But if you want one that will work from anywhere on Earth, including the poles, then get the Iridium phone.
Okay, and so Snowrun is asking, is Trump totally compromised? Yeah, that's what I've been saying for a long time. He's captured by Mossad, but with the release of the Epstein files outing Trump, he seems to be freer. Now, there may be more that is worse, but that's why he seems to be defying Israel now. And that's why we're going to see more likely false flags. If you have questions to ask about the sat phones, you've got the expert right here. So get on Rumble or X and ask your questions. But there's also a lot of other stuff. And I also love that with the Inmarsat comes so many great attachments, car attachments, everything that different country plugins. It's really a really nice complete package, by the way, for everybody. But you've also got some other great items there. This new smaller backpack is very nice and handy, and it's got a ballistic inserts in there, level 2A. So this is something that you could get for your kids as well for school. And if they put their phones in there, they're not going to be tracked as well. So that's really nice. I also like that the interior is light colored so that you can find stuff and see stuff in there. Any comments on that, Tina?
Yeah, so that phone, that's also a Faraday. There's a Faraday pocket in the back. And one of the reasons why we put a Faraday pocket in that is because there's actually 3 things, right? Jeffrey, as you know, to protect from an EMP attack, should we get attacked with an EMP, because the bad guys aren't going to fight us with guns. They're going to fight our our infrastructure, right? So you want to protect your electronics in a Faraday pocket if you want them to work should we have an EMP attack. The other thing is also EMF. So one of the reasons why we put that in there is to protect the children from getting EMF onto their body when they're carrying their phone in their backpack. There's no reason. We're already getting enough EMF, cancer causing EMF already just by having the cell phone. So having a pocket so that it can protect you from EMF is really nice. And the other thing that it does is it gives you privacy. When you put the phone inside the Faraday pocket that's in the backpack, there's no tracking. Nobody can track you. And the phone won't ring in school in the classroom. So that was one of the ideas that we had. Even if you leave your phone on, it will not ring, but the text messages from parents will still come in once you take your phone out. So once you get your phone out, you can still read your text messages, but in the meantime, it is not generating any EMF or any tracking. And God knows we all need to have our digital footprint not being tracked 24/7. Currently, with your cell
My
phone,
teenage daughter, I require her to have EMF protection because that EMF protection, especially for young ladies, is particularly dangerous.
yeah, it is. We're coming out with so we have T-shirts and we have hoodies that has pockets that you can stick your phone that won't generate any EMF to your body. So there's a couple of pockets, and one side the phone will ring, the other side it won't ring, but both sides will protect you from putting EMF onto your body from your cell phone, because that has been a lot of doctors, a lot of research have come out saying, okay, you know what, 9 out of 10 people will have cancer. And we see cancers on the rise, especially with thyroid cancer, because of the way that we hold our phone. You always want to use the speaker when you use your cell phone, and when you're not using it, put it inside of a Faraday bag. If you run a test, I don't know if you've done this, a lot of people put the phone right next to their head when they go to sleep.
No,
If you run a
no, we don't do that either. Yeah.
Yeah,
Really
if
good
you
idea.
run a test, if you're one of the people that does that, you run a test, get one of these bags, put your cell phone in here, the alarm will still go off and you can still hear the music through this, but it will generate 0 EMF to your body while you're sleeping. And you will notice a lot of people are saying that once they started doing that, they're not waking up with headaches anymore. And a lot of people thought, oh, they've been waking up with headaches because they need a cup of coffee or what have you. You are being exposed to EMF 24/7. So get those 8 hours of sleep. Either take the phone outside of the bedroom or put it inside of a Faraday bag and put it next to you.
Hold that bag up again that does that, please.
This is the one for the cell phone. So this one will hold your cell phone, your sat phone. It will also hold your key fob so that people can't steal your key, because with it, they can be within 8 feet of you and steal your key. And then so a lot of robbers have been going in at night and stealing the trucks or whatever it is that they have. And, or they're going through the garage and robbing the house because they have access to your key fob. So put your keys in here. You can put your keys in any of the products you have. If you can get one of these handbags and then there's a pocket in there with Faraday. We also have like a crossbody bag. This is a really nice crossbody bag that you can put your phone anywhere in here and it will protect you from any radiation going to your body. That's right. But if you want to completely block your digital footprint and escape, you can put your phone in this pocket right here. There's a pocket in here, and this will completely block the signal so that nobody will be tracking you. But as long as the phone is inside this bag and you carry it next to your body, you are not generating any radiation onto your body. And
with that phone case, you said the alarm will still go off?
The alarm will still go off, and you can still hear. Some people like to sleep with music. You can still hear the music. There's a lot of people, what I've seen, they put the phone underneath their pillow to listen to the music while they sleep
Oh
at
my
night.
gosh.
And that is like a big no.
Yeah.
We need to
Also,
learn to,
earbuds should be wired, not non-wired, not
yeah,
Bluetooth.
earbuds have so much radiation. So we're coming out next month. We'll have the handband so that you can wear your watch over it. Because also the study shows there's a lot of people that are getting cancer from from their smartwatch. I'm not wearing my smartwatch anymore. I'm waiting for the handbands to come in. They've been tested and they work. And yeah,
That's smartwatch.
that watch. Yeah, that's the best watch. Because my hand started to hurt, and so I took off my watch for a week, and the pain went away. And then I put the watch back on, and the pain came back. And I'm like, okay,
Yep.
this is pretty bad. And then I started doing some research, and there's a lot of doctors online that you can research that are saying, don't wear the iWatch on your hand. If you have to wear it for an hour while you work out or what have you, do that, but try to avoid that. We'll have a solution here in about a month from now where you'll be able to buy a handband that has Faraday material. And Faraday material is made out of copper and silver, and that usually blocks the radiation and it blocks the signal, but the watch is not going to be covered, so the signal will still come in and you'll still get all of your reads, but it will block radiation ongoing to your body.
Are the frequencies on the sat phone like a ham radio, or can they talk to each other? Someone asks.
So the satellite phones are not, we do have radios, satellites. Those are mostly used by fire department, military, and it is made by Iridium. But the sat phone is a phone number. You have a phone number, you'll get a USA number, and it will ring just like a regular phone. And when you dial out, it's the same thing. You put the plus country code, and US country code is 1, and then a number, and that's it. So you can make and receive calls to anyone from anyone. You can also send text messages. The most secured message sent is from sat phone to sat phone. The most secured call there is from sat phone to sat phone. When you make a call to someone that has a cell phone on your end, you're protected. On their end, they're open to being listened in on. And I just want to remind you that with an Iridium, the one that you have, if, like, let's say that's all you had with you, you took it somewhere and you got lost, there is no way of finding you. There is no GPS. There's no tracking. So a lot of people like that, not to have any tracking, because you can always take another different device with you for tracking. But I think a lot of Americans today, they just are tired of being tracked. You know that big tech knows your house because they can see the room you sleep in because the phone is sitting right next to your head. So they know when you sleep. That's the reason why when you wake up in the morning, the minute you take your phone and you look at the time, the messages start coming in because big tech knows that you woke up. So now they're going to start beeping and sending you messages. It is just so crazy how we are being so tracked. And these gives you these Faraday products will allow you to just put a stop to that. At least 8 hours a day of your time, your phone should be inside of a Faraday bag so that there is no one tracking you.
Very true. Very true. I'm going to have to remind my wife of that because she has headaches, and her phone is below her head level, but she does have it there. But I'm going to look at that bag that you sent me because for her alarm there
Okay.
for that reason as well. So
Okay.
somebody asked, why are certain people such as Alex Jones, for instance, preaching the Muslim invasion theory? Obviously, Israel is the greater threat. Well, yeah, we've been Zionizationed. And again, the Muslim invasion is sponsored by that as well. Looks like at this point, Alex is sold out, and I've been on, InfoWars. SGT reported Epstein files prove elites kidnapping and torturing innocent citizens, even murdering and eating them. yet there's not one arrest. Does anybody out there find that odd? Yes, of course. That's because it's run by the global elite. But right now, if you got questions for Tina on any of these products, there's some great products that are really handy. Is the beanie, which is in my shop as well, jeffreyprather.com shop, or you can go to beready123.com and get it as well. This is really good. When my girls go into the city, they really notice the 5G. It really bothers them. And so this is a great alternative to that. This is kind of the modern tinfoil hat.
Yeah. Jeffrey, also, when you're sitting there working for 8 hours a day in front of a computer, how much radiation? The reason why these are so thin, so that they don't keep you, they're not too hot, is just to block the radiation from just sitting in front of your screen all day. So if you're the type of person that works on screen all day, it's always good to protect the brain from radiation. And these hats, they're pretty thin. You just put them on and work, and now you've got your head protected from radiation from working with all the electronics.
Yeah, I really like that light as well.
Yeah,
and there's some real nice little blankets too. And actually, we put those in the car too. And sometimes my girls will wrap up in them as well when they're going in around lots of 5G, because we're way out in the country, so we're pretty good. But when we go in the city, it does really affect them.
Yeah, those are mostly for people that travel. Like you can put it over your body. You know how when you go to the dentist and you're exposed to the radiation and they put this thing on you so that they can take x-rays? Well, pretty much you're going through x-rays all the time, especially when you travel on the plane, when you're watching TV, and you use that blanket to cover your body, your organs, when you are on the plane, or if you're playing video games, if you're the type of person that likes to put the laptop on your lap, the radiation from the laptop, 100% of it comes from the bottom of the laptop. So put the blanket over your lap, and then put it. And then for pregnant women that put the phone on their belly when they are playing games or watching TikTok or whatever it is that you do, we highly recommend that you put a blanket over the belly so that the baby does not get the radiation.
Definitely, yes. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, there's been lots of studies done. Of course, they are suppressed because that's the big business. And you've also got generators, you said.
Yeah, so we do have generators. We saw a big increase of generator sales this January, and they're still going. And to people that weren't prepared when electricity went out during the freeze, they were not happy because it was cold and they didn't have electricity, and so yeah, I think a lot of people just sat next to a fire. But it's always good to have one of these, whether you want a small one. It doesn't matter if you just want to charge up your small electronics, like with this, just like your laptop, maybe your toaster, maybe just a couple of things. Then this is what you get. But if you want something bigger to warm up the house, or even cool down the house, or plug into your refrigerator, so that food doesn't go bad, then you can get a bigger one. But we have a medium one. I can carry the medium one, the bigger one. And as you can see right here, you can plug in pretty much anything on it. And the way to charge this, Jeffrey, is you can plug it in when you have electricity, have it charged, have it sit there, take it out every 6 months, charge it fully, and then put it away. And when there is an emergency, if there's a long-term emergency, we do have solar panels that are portable. They're very light. They're easy to carry, that you can use to keep this charged until the emergency is over and you get your electricity back. But it's always good to be prepared with either a very small one, a medium, or a large one, depending on what you can't live without. Like for me, I can live without electronics. So it's not things that I need. But I can't live without a fan when it's hot. or the heater, or some of the other thing, the stove, and other products that you may need. So it's always good to be prepared. Don't wait till there's an emergency. Our grid can be taken down at any time. It's like 100 years old. Prepare your house so that you have something, and you don't have to rush doing an emergency to grab them, because my understanding, they were nowhere to be found. Every single person was out of them. We still have inventory. Call, you get 10% off when you mention this podcast, and have them there in event of an emergency. You take them out and you could use them and not worry about not having electricity.
Yeah, we have home generators. We have portable generators. Everything that Tina's talking about, I utilize and recommend here, because I've done a lot of COOP, continuity of operations. I did that for the Defense Intelligence Agency's headquarters when you have to shift locations. I also did that for the DEA New York headquarters office, and I've done that for private corporations as well. So a big part of continuity of operations COOP is sat phones and generators. And again, it's not for everything. It's just for the essentials.
Yeah, I mean,
thank you so much, Tina, for coming on. Is there anything? Yeah, you can use the promo code Prather for 10% off if you go to beready123.com. Anything else you want to tell us?
Or for the satellite phones, they can go to stat123.coms. The phones are already free, but they will get 10% off the first. I think the first bill is going to be first month and last month, or first month or prorated next month. So they can still get the 10% off, but the phones are free. The Iridium phones run about $1,300. That's why it's a 24-month agreement, because I believe the 23rd month is our break even for our company. The MRSAT phone is a 12-month agreement, because it's an $800 phone, and our break even is about 11 months, and that's the reason why. But get yours after the 12 months are up. You're just month to month. You can put it, you can just continue with the service, or you can put it on standby in event of emergency. But Jeffrey, we've seen so many emergencies happen, with hurricanes, with fires, with the freeze. And then we don't even know what else is ahead of us. So it's good as all of us to just be prepared and have some of these products in event of anything happens.
Wise words. And again, I'm predicting more false flags because of what Trump is defying Israel. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Tina, and hope you feel better. I'm recovering myself.
Yeah, it's going around.
All right. Well, thank you so much. God bless.
God bless you.
Okay, so there's Tina Blanco, comms expert, founder of the Sat Phone Store, sat123.com, beready123.com. And again, I'm bringing her on now. She is a show sponsor to give you options, solutions, and answers for the coming false flags, because one of the biggest things is to cut comms. That really scares everybody. But something I had not yet covered was why the Ukraine war is still going on. And part of that is the global cabal, which is the international deep states, the double governments of all the different countries. We're talking CIA, America. We're talking Israel as well. Remember, Israel was sending Tabor bullpup rifles to the Azov Nazis in Ukraine. But the other aspect of is still trafficking children out of Ukraine. During a recent meeting, Ukraine's Deputy Foreign Minister, Mariana Betsa, once again pushed claims that at least 20,000 Ukrainian children have been deported to Russia, in spite of the fact that months prior, during the June Istanbul talks, the Ukrainian side finally provided the list of the children. It accuses Russia of abducting 339 children, surprisingly far fewer than the number alleged for years. So the number went from 20,000 to 339. The absence of the 19,500 on the list indeed leads to many questions, mainly is Ukraine lying again? Recall that in 2022, the accusations by the now former Ukrainian ombudsman Lyudmila Denislova about sexual atrocities allegedly committed by Russian soldiers were revealed to be lies and propaganda. So much so that Denislova was sacked. But before her dismissal, legacy media and the UN all backed the lies. Very similar to what has happened in Gaza. Some recent accusations are that children were being sent to labor camps in Russia. These claims, instead of have a source for information, said the Regional Human Rights Center can provide information upon request. In other words, her sources are, trust me, bro. Regarding the list of the 339 children, Ukraine says they were abducted by Russia. Russia Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova remarked, 30% of the names on that list could not be verified, as most of the children were never in Russia, are now adults or have already returned to their families. As for the Ukrainian children who are actually in our country, they are under state care in appropriate institutions. They are safe now in many instances. Their evacuation from combat zones saved their lives. Local children's rights commissioners are now working to reunite them with their relatives, which is certainly a lot more than we have seen done under PEDO Joe, which was just trafficking children. Remember, I had Tara Rhodes, the HHS whistleblower, who said the U.S. government was trafficking children and still have. Again, I'm calling for a repentance for all of the ICE and Border Patrol folks that did this. They need to actually repent and confess. Rochelle Holmes, helping kill everyone in Gaza, doing all that Israel wants him to do. When will people finally treat him like anyone else's? After the bioweapon, well, there's not a question there. The Ukraine men have been voluntarily recruited and many have died. Was this part of the Ukraine war objective? Yeah, they have had 2 million deserters. They are now recruiting old men. The meat grinder that is Ukraine is just horrific. But again, they want to keep this going on for the global cabal's dark economy of people, which is now primarily children, weapons, and drugs. So just as legacy media whitewashed the 8 years of Ukraine's war against Donbass civilians prior to Russia commencing its special military operation in 2022, including the Ukrainian shelling, which killed 250 children, started in 2014, media likewise ignored the children Russia says are missing. The Russia side presented Ukraine with a list of 20 Russian children who are either currently in Ukraine or relocated from Ukraine to Western Europe, including the countries that endorsed this very statement. Now the burden falls on these states to provide Russia with a substantive response regarding our list of 20. Remember, there were Ukrainians at January 6th. There were Azov Nazis there, which means there was CIA there, which we have been over and over. Recently, Donbass journalist Christine Neert wrote about a report published on a pro-Ukrainian website, which broke the story of 510 Ukrainian children who had been evacuated by a Ukrainian oligarch in 2022 from Denizbrost to Turkey, where the benevolent foundation which brought them there allegedly allowed its staff to beat the children, sexually assault them, deny them food if they refused to perform on camera, to raise funds for their lodging. These are just some of the reports of violations of orphans' rights. And of course, Zelensky used to dressed up as a tranny. We saw that, over and over in his latex outfits. The details of the report showed that the children suffered physically and psychologically. Additionally, 2 underage teens were impregnated by the staff of the hotel they stayed with educators allegedly aware of the interactions. According to Neat, the journalist, the orphanage director's response to the fact that one of the teens became pregnant. This young girl comes from an asocial family. Well, this way of life is already inscribed in every cell in the blood of these children. So we're back to the racial superiority here that we see out of the Zionist. In almost 10 years of work, Neat said, I've never filmed or conducted. I've conducted or filmed many humanitarian missions to orphanages in the region, and never have I heard a director make such vile remarks about one of the children in her care. Even the most difficult and recalcitrant were cared for with love and patience. In April 2023, NEAT interviewed Tomask civilians who had recently been rescued by Russian soldiers, in addition to being deliberately shelled by Ukrainian forces who knew they were sheltering in the basement of a residential building. The civilians we spoke told us about the Ukrainian military police hunting for children. The evacuees told us that some of these police went by the name White Angels and were taking children away without the consent of their parents. This is kidnapping and child trafficking through the government. What do you know about neurotransmitters inside our bodies through the vax and the experimentation on us? Well, I've talked about that quite a bit and showed how if you're taking the bioweapon, they activate, and this goes back way back, where there are self-generating little computers that inside you if you're doing the bioweapon. So that's really old hat as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, around the time the reports came out about these abductions or attempted abductions, including an 11-year-old who spoke of how White Angels introduced themselves as military police, saying they needed to take her away because Russia killed her mother. But she was able to find a phone and call her mother. NEAT wrote of a July 2023 conference on Ukraine's crimes against the Donbass children, in which Liliana and her daughter Kira from Shashte in the Lugansk People's Republic spoke. They gave evidence of how at the start of the special military operation, when Ukraine controlled Shashte, around 10 children were taken from a school to Western Ukraine by the headmistress of a school on orders from Kiev without informing their parents. The children were forbidden to call, but Kiev knew her telephone number by heart and managed to call and let her mother know. They were in Lviv and then Coast. Thanks to Lilia's determination to find her daughter, we discovered how Kiev exports the children of ducks. Ukraine had forged a new original birth certificate for Kira. The girl said she and the others were to be sent to Poland. Poland, of course, is the FOB, foreign operational base, for all of the U.S. military and all the U.S. intelligence for the Ukraine proxy war with Russia. Former SBU officer Vasily Posarov spoke at the same conference where he explained, according to NEAT, that one of his investigations revealed that some of the children abducted by Ukraine are sent to pedophile networks in Great Britain via a whole network of Ukrainian and British officials. And of course, if you go to my X, and again, I apologize right now because of the house fire. I've just got my laptop. I don't have my two screens. I can't show you things. So there's a X video on my account showing a little boy escaping from Buckingham Palace by climbing half naked out the window with sheets tied together because they are all pedophiles. The global elite are satanic pedophiles. Proserov wrote another of the investigations on organizations registered to European Union countries involved exporting children from Ukraine under the pretext of providing them with shelter. These organizations take unaccompanied Ukrainian children out of Ukraine. What happens to them afterwards is unknown. So this is why Ukraine, one of the reasons why the Ukraine war, not just the military-industrial complex, but it is also child trafficking. And child trafficking has become the preferred method now. Ropo, I'm new here. Thank you for responding. Jeffrey always does great work. Well, welcome and hope you come back. Yeah, okay. Some of the folks are talking to each other, which is really good. Yeah, I want you guys to talk to me and talk to each other and communicate. You can also, tell me what you'd actually also like to see on coming casts as well. You can always email me at jp@jeffreyprather.com jp@jeffreyprather.com. That's JEFFREYPRATHER. Also, thank you guys for worrying about me. As you can see, my cough is better. I have had a very rough patch of my health in the new year, but my wonderful wife's taking great care of me, and I am coming along. So thanks for your concern and for your prayers. But anyway, I wanted to highlight again, behind all of these things, we've got all the neocons talking about war with Russia in Ukraine. It all comes back to this great evil of child trafficking. And remember, Yeshua said it would be better for anyone who harms a hair on the head of one of these little ones to be thrown into the sea with a millstone around their neck. So what's most important here from this cast is to understand that this whole Epstein thing is satanically sourced via the Talmud, via Zionism. And you really need to choose a side and choose God and goodness and life and freedom. And the dumbing down of America is why all of this has been able to happen. Anyway, I don't see anything else there. But it's very significant, too, that the START treaties are over, and therefore all bets are off for nuclear proliferation, testing more nukes. And that's very concerning in this high-tension environment where we are on the edge of war with Iran, and China and Russia are supporting Iran. And China is going against Japan, and tensions are as high as they've ever been since World War II with China and Japan as well. And now you bring in the element that the START treaty, that there's no treaties anymore about developing more nuclear weapons. If you start putting these nuclear weapons on hypersonic missiles, that could be very dangerous. And also the doctrine of mutually assured destruction has worked very well. And that is where you're launching ICBMs at each other. It's what you see in all the movies, which are intercontinental ballistic missiles. The missile goes up out of the atmosphere, comes back down. And, if if the major superpowers launch their missiles, then everybody's destroyed. So we're not going to do it. We're going to see a great old movie about that with Henry Fonda. It's called Failsafe, where actually one of the bombers, because we used to fly B-52 bombers towards Russia, doesn't get the recall. Something goes wrong. Some failsafe doesn't work. And so they bomb Moscow. And so to prevent even further war, the president, who's Henry Fonda in the movie, actually bombs New York. But none of that happened. Mutually assured destruction has worked very well. But the doctrine of nuclear warfare is now changing in that there's a lot of more developed tactical nuclear weapons that are not about mutually assured destruction. Let's see. Candace told everyone to read the book of Enoch. Yeah, you should read the book of Enoch. It's very good. My brother got sick from the second shot. 4 years later, he has esophageal cancer. Yes. So Luc Montagnier, the Nobel laureate, said everyone who took the shot will be dead in 10 years. Depends upon what shot you got, because you can check this at how bad is your batch, because some of them were almost nothing. Some of them were very potent. Snowrun, thank you, Tina, and thanks, Jeff, for another fantastic cast. Very informative. Please continue with more of the same. Will do. Candace is reading the wrong version, the kindergarten version. Yeah, I don't know what version she's reading, but the Book of Enoch is very telling, and it also ties into Scripture. But the most important thing to understand with the Epstein files is all of this is satanically sourced, and it was executed by a Talmudic Jew against Goyim, non-Jews, who particularly said Catholics were dangerous. So you really need to strengthen your faith. That's why I'm always telling you to join me at christchaplaincy.com, because we're a chaplaincy, not a church, and we specialize in spiritual warfare. And it's totally free. And I do the first service and sermon every month. And the rest of the month, there's others great doing, other chaplains doing great services. And it really works on the details of how to fight spiritually. Pam, prayers to you and yours. Thank you very much for that, Pam. So, if not you, who? Time is short. Lines are formed. Time to awake or dream. Choose life or death. Are you a sheep or a sheepdog? Warrior or slave? Jabbed or not? Victim or survivor? Do not line up. Step out. Do not consume. Save. Do not obey. Resist. Do not believe. Discern. Do not trust. Verify. Do not conform. Rebel. Do not submit. Refuse. Do not kneel. Stand. We stand together alone.